5 years ago, you'd never see a Chrome selling in you know, $400, $500, $600 price range. It just was non-existent. Now, this one's from Jackass Retro. Welcome, welcome. Thanks. I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Jackass, here, but I thought I would because this is a really good example. And he's doing the zoom-ins, if you can see here. Now, what made this one very, very unique here is that he's showing the band, the group here in this place here, which is very unique. You just don't see that sort of thing. So I believe that is the key to this one here. It does look like disco to me. The only thing I would say is that it's probably not disco, I would have to guess, only because I see guitars and bongos and drums. I don't really see anybody with a keyboard, but either way, the disco lights are great. Nice nightclub image. Not sure on the exact price, probably in the $28 to $30 range, maybe, I'm guessing. This is a perfect example of what you are looking for, these oddball ones. Inside shots like this, everyday life. Who's going to want a shot of, you know, in bar nightlife? They're just not very common. So this is a great example of something like that. May sit for a little while. And again, I don't really care if something sits anymore at all these days. With 1 million in inventory plus, there's enough sitting there at any given point to give a lot of potential for us. Now, I'm not saying, you know, everybody has to have $1 million. You can do it with a ton less than I do, but again, this method works for me. So our goal at this point is we're going to list buttons for a few more months, heavy like we are, and then we're going to still list them, but we're going to start mixing in, like every other mix, a bunch more chromes, because chromes are moving. Again, a $25 profit for something you probably spend $1 or less on is pretty darn good in my book. Again, this is low-lying fruit. That's the point. The low-lying fruit is the easiest stuff to grab, and no one else wants it. They're cutting their throats around here and pretty much beating each other up almost to get to these a few items here and a few items there, and I can walk behind them and buy a whole box of chromes, you know, for $20 because they're chromes and make hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So again, look at these a little differently these days. I have learned, as I said, in 9+ months of extensive research, what's going on here, and they are gaining some incredible amount of speed. Now, here's somebody using a watermark. I'm not going to say anything. I'd never turn anybody in for something like that. I'm not going to use them because mine go to other sites, and I'll take the risk. It's just not worth the argument anymore. But this is a very nice one here. Now, if this wasn't, say, nights with neon signs, it may not have done this good. Nathan Road in Hong Kong is a very well-known place. I've had postcards from this exact one. Now, this is a time-lapse photo. All those streaks are lights that have gone through this road over and over and over again. Different cars that have made up this combination image here would be my guess. That's what I would say this is, because there's no way you would get a shot of this part of town without cars visible in it. This is just a packed section of town. So that would be my guess on this one. But the neon lights are what sold this one here. If this was from most places with this much neon, the 7-Up, the Pan American Airlines, the PAA up there, I think that Tuggeris is another brand, well-known brand. Titus, it's got Zodiac there. So, I mean, this is a loaded one here. It's sold with bids. So this one's a nice example of something like that. Most China cards, though, that are chrome don't sell super well because they were mass-produced at a certain point. But this is a little different. This one's a little earlier, I would say, too, by the looks of it. It's an interesting angle. You can see the mountain up there in the back, the hills. There's some hotels in the hills surrounding, looking down on this area in Hong Kong, if you're not familiar. It starts with an R, the hotel name, and I can't remember, Response or Response. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a major hotel there. Now, this is someone who's fairly huge. This is Dr. Jim's Stamps. Now, I don't know if this is his account or how he works it in there, but if you type in Dr. Jim Stamps, you're going to find a ton of them. And I actually thought about adding that in at one time, you know, the auction professor or something in the title, but I have not done that. It takes up key amounts of space. He's already killing some up with the word view and postcard, Dr. Jim Stamps. And then US. You don't need any of that. He could have put some better keywords in there. Again, I'm not trying to criticize. That's his opinion on what he does. It's still sold okay. Now, this is something, again, that most people aren't going to want. It's not even an attractive-looking building in my book. It is an ice cream place from what it looks like here, but it's a bar. So you don't see a lot of people printing bar images like this. So bar ones do sell. I do list most oddball ones that look like this, some rinky-dink small town, and that's what this is as well. Now, here's another one. Any dealer of a car or automobile, pretty much I will list. Everyone, as long as it says 60s or before and shows a car in there, shows an old building, shows the sign. I've got a couple up right now that are Chromes myself from the California coastal area from car dealers. Now, I list every one of those. Most of those I won't even look up. I'll just automatically price them at least $34.50 or higher on every one of those and just go from there. This one would have been a sure thing in my book, and as you can see, it did sell. You got to have the names in it. As I said in last video, SEO, what do you want in there? The name of who the company or business is. Jack Roach, very most important thing on there. Ford dealer, right off the bat. Automobiles, he's got the town name. These are all things I've been telling you to put in, and that's why this can sell so well. Now, this one here, you could have possibly put up, because that's a nice looking car right there. That's a nice Ford. This one you could have probably listed for $57.50 and probably sold it for $45 as a buy it now. So again, just be careful. The days of auctions are gone in my book. I would have priced this one higher than what this person sold it, almost double, and almost could have guaranteed you I would have gotten more out of this exact same card. So just FYI, no criticism to the person who's listing it or anything. But okay, now here's one kind that I didn't pay much attention to either. Any of these greeting cards that show like this kind of stuff, there's not even a place from. This could have been taken in Florida off the Gulf Coast and just marketed as Rockport. There's no way on earth to know. Now, the city name is why this sold. The boats as well tied to that as well. So it's got two good things going for it. And this one almost looks like it's it's probably not, but it does look like it could be a wooden boat on the far right. You can see the skis they have setting there. So, and skis there. So these people were going to water ski. So this is an interesting one here. Now, I've taken a different light to all of these greeting ones. I didn't used to list most of them, and I've got a stack of hundreds and hundreds of them now that we're just going to start listing those. As I said, we're going to start flooding with Chrome cards. So you're going to see buttons, Chromes, postcards. We're moving back to military. I've got tickets we just listed up. I've got labels going back up. So we're jamming up. This is fourth quarter stuff going up right now. If it doesn't make it to fourth quarter, I could care less. It just means I sold it sooner than I expected. So get ready for it. It's coming, and things are still moving. Sales are moving again after our little stint there with getting dinged over that wildlife. This is something that's moving. It is moving. So anyway, let's move on. Here's another example here. Ted's Rancho Cafe Gateway to Malibu. Now, this is a perfect example of something. Again, I would have put $57.50 on this one as well. This person's photographing him, so he's taking more time. Image isn't so great. It's okay. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize it, but the point is, it would have been far better if this person had a scanner. They'd done so much better on images and everything else. Plus a blow up. If I blew up that building with the coast like that, where you can see it as the main image, I probably would have got close to $57.50 for this. I don't care what other people sell stuff for. That's what you have to realize. Just because someone sold even 5 copies of the exact same thing for, say, $20 or $30 doesn't mean it wasn't worth twice that. It just means that that's all they priced it at. You see my prices. I'm not joking. We've actually kept our prices solid. I've learned that it's always the first time seeing it for somebody if they've only seen it just that day, even if it's been up for 2 years. You've got to address it from that point. It's the first time someone sees it and they'll buy it maybe. It doesn't matter that there might be 2 or 3 other ones that are priced cheaper. You may be the first one. You may have the best image. You may have the best title. You may have the word that would push it up in their search results, and the other 4 or 5 people selling the exact same card missed the keys out of there. Like a sign. Again, this one would have sold better, would have been a far better pusher if they zoomed in and showed that building. I can guarantee it without a doubt. 100%. No question about it in my mind. Now, this one's an early one. You can tell it's an early Chrome without a doubt. Not in the best condition. It has some issues. This is the earlier style. It's not, the chromolithic. You can tell by the car in there as well, too. The bank, the corner, it's an oddball one. It has wear. Again, I don't even worry if they have wear anymore. As you see, I list damaged cards all the time. I've sold cards missing corners, big chunks of them, half of the corner, cards with a rip in them, cards with tape on them. It depends on the card itself. Most of them I'm not paying more than a penny or so for in the first place, so who really cares? And again, when we list these, if I can list 45 of something an hour, I don't have to sell very many to get some pretty decent money out of them, depending on my pricing structure. So if I'm able to sell or list, again, $500 worth of items an hour, that's perfectly fine. I don't care what it is. So let's move on. Again, here's a hospital again. As I said, hospitals, surprisingly enough, do seem to have some draw. Now, they're not a fortune movers, but you're talking anywhere from, say, $12 to $30 on average. You can sell some decent vintage hospital ones. This one has an ambulance in the front, so that helps. And it's also an asylum, psychiatric ward also, which helps. Asylum stuff sells. If you put an asylum in there, you need to add that in there. And that's one of the key things that you would add into something like this. Nothing fancy, nothing super spectacular, something most people wouldn't pay attention to. So when everybody else is killing each other to get for the 2 or 3 Halloween postcards that may be there that may be worth a few bucks, I walk in and get a whole stack of cards for almost nothing, and I'm selling equal value or more based on what I acquire. Sure, they may only have to list 1 or 2 postcards. There's a little higher risk and things like that. The Halloween ones, there is a higher demand, or whatever the case may be. I don't mind getting the leftovers because I'm not investing anything. My money's back the day I get it. I don't ever have to worry about something sitting like this because I can list 1 or 2 items and be done very, very, very quickly. Now on to Disney. Let's show you a few things before we get into it here. Now, this is a book titled Disneyland, the Nickel Tour. There's 2 editions. I think there's even a second edition from this. One covers part of it, and then one covers another one, if I'm not mistaken. This is supposed to list and show every single Disneyland postcard that exists. Now, it's out of print. Not many of these are available. The price for the hardcover edition can run up to $1,000 on this book here. Now, again, don't spread any of this information. I was hesitant to give this out because I do get snaked out on some deals if I give out too much information, but this book here is one that I search out and acquire anytime I can because it's a quick sell. It's gone as soon as you list it, no matter where. This one sells for a fortune on Amazon. Disneyland, the Nickel Tour. Again, there's several different versions of this book here as well. So if you ever see it, grab it. You can get this from the library if you want to check it out. I am sure you should be able to get this for free to borrow from the library. That is what you need to do. Again, there's no prices in here. It's not a price guide. It's like a walking tour through postcards. Now, I'll give you one more spot. I'll include a link to this so you can go from there. And I'll also include a link to this spot here, Disneyland Postcard Reference Guide. Now, this is old material. It hasn't been updated in a very long time. But what this does, and I've used this and had this here for quite some time, is you can actually click on one of these. And they're all numbered. Click on the little apple, and it's going to show you all the ones in there. Now, there's some other numbers in here, and they're judging them on their numbering structure. So there are some cards that probably go to this, but they haven't turned up yet. These are jumbo ones, too. You can see by the size. It gives you a ton of information. Who photoed the cards. Everything you need to know here, this person has put together. This person is a high-end collector. Now, these are variants here. You can see it's an A. So as I was saying, sometimes the variants are the ones that worth all the money in these. Let's pop back here and pick a bigger category to give you a better idea here. Some of them are large, very large. Some of them have no numbers, but for the most part they do. Now, these are lenticular cards, which I have some myself. I have some from this exact same series. So it gives you a good idea. And here's the variations again. So every time you see red, for the most part, they're variations. Now, he's missed one here. Oh, that's technically not a variation. These were sold separately. Let's put it this way. When you bought these, you could buy a pack of these, say 4 or 6, all running horizontal versus vertical or vice versa. So most of them do have a couple versions. But again, as you see here, he's got most of them displayed. Now, these are lenticular, as I said, which means you turn them and it looks like it's like a 3-dimensional Mickey in there if you don't know what they are. These are super scarce. So anyway, most of the ones you're going to see in this guide, you'll never see, or no one runs into them. Now, here's some Art Corner ones too. So let's just go over that. Now, these are unnumbered cards, so there's no real full-fledged way. They have been numbered in books, and they tie those numbers in. Now, here's a real good example of variance. Here's Tinkerbell with one color background. Here's Tinkerbell with another color background. Same here, different color backgrounds as well. So there was many different things. Here's another one, the coloring scheme. This one's lighter, that one's darker. Siamese cat one I really like. I've always wanted to find that one, but this is just to give you an example. Now, there could be other ones that no one knows about, because there are some actually. It says die cut one here, not pictured, not pictured. This person doesn't own a copy of it. I'm assuming this person owns every one of these cards that are shown on here. Again, I'll have a link down there for you, so you can just click on the link. There's just some spectacular ones in this lot, I have to say. I'm always fascinated by this. Having worked there for 10 plus years, I do solidly enjoy looking through Disney stuff. I used to nab it up constantly, but it's broken down fairly well. Now, this is from the Nickel Tour as well, so you can go through here and look. This is his numbering systems and things like that, too, as well as the ones shown in that book. So, again, just because you've got a postcard and it looks similar, you got to be careful on the variants on them, I guess I should say. The variants are key. Now, even newer ones are in here, too. You see these Pirates of the Caribbean. These go extremely well because of the movies. So, again, these are just a highly sought-after assortment of cards shown in here. No prices, as I said. No prices, no prices, no prices. Some of these are from bonus books, which I've sold very recently. You've seen me sell them. These books sell on their own, $14.15 to $27.50 for almost any of these books if they're complete, excellent condition, unused, unfolded, uncreased, and all there ready to roll. So, images of the individual cards are not shown, as this would require bending the cards back and risk damaging the booklets. So, again, he's only showing you the booklets themselves. They should be complete if you're going to mess with that. Look at the size of this site just for this. This will give you it to every single. Let's look at this one here. It's one I hadn't seen before. Oh, okay. So look at this card here. This looks all to be the same, but they're year by year. You can pretty much figure out when the card was specifically made. I'm sure most folks haven't a clue that it's this much involved with the Disney cards. I really hadn't planned on sharing all my secrets, but I figured I'd give you this site for at least identification. So if you don't know a number, you would spend a long time looking, but at least give you some real good ideas here. Now, these are RPPCs, basically, as you can see. They were printed in Germany. Any real photo, real picture postcards from Disney that have the Disney information on them, you want to nab up. But anyway, I'm just another example there. Excellent, excellent site to use for going over Disney stuff like this, the postcards. I wish there was a price guide to give you, but the people that collect these have books and books and books and books. They may have thousands of different versions of different cards, too. This is just what this person owns. There's some really interesting ones in here. Advertising ones, hotel ones. This is from the World's Fair. I've had, I think, every one of the World's Fair. At least one. I've had that one, and at least one of these. But anyway, Pepsi ones are some of the hotter ones to get. General Electric Pavilion. So anyway, just more. I could look at this pretty much all day long, honestly. I do love these sorts of things. But this will just give you an idea on just sheer quantity. So, and again, if you're at a show or something, you're going to see most of the common stuff. I would think that most heavy dealers would at least know enough. Maybe not. Maybe they're not interested, again, since they are Chromes, but Chromes in general are on the move, as I said. So, anyway. Now, you had the car one shown there. Now, this is the car versions that you would want. Something with these style, that purple car is a set-off. These are more sporty looking. The angle of the shot shows the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Lagoon and the monorail all together. So this is a triple shot one here. You can even see the ship in the distance, the sunken ship rattling off in the distance there too. So excellent reason to buy this one here. Now, this is not the very first one that came out. If you compare this back to the other backs, you can see this was a little newer one. Now, too, this is Autopia, so that was what they listed in the title. Sometimes the names change on the attractions also, so $46 on this one because of the shot. You will see probably a half a dozen other postcards of this exact same ride, but they may not sell as well because of the angle, the direction, what's shown behind, where the shot was taken from. To take this shot, you'd have to be in the grass to take it, is another thing. So it's not like a tourist view of it. The majority of other postcards you see from Disney also are ones that were taken from a position that a guest would be able to see. And that's a plus because a guest saw that. They maybe didn't have the money to take a photo, or they just figured, I'll just buy a postcard and be done with it. They stood in the spot where the postcard was taken, and that's a draw too. That's why there aren't as many of these shots done. And it's not exciting. It's not you in the photos. It's just some cars on a track. So that's a good draw on that one. Now, again, they're all numbered, as we said. This is an interesting one. Not the best. The photo of this is blurred, so it's not really the best. This is, I don't even know if they use this. I think they don't even use this anymore. I think it's all just the boats themselves. This is part of the Jungle Cruise, I would have said, because it does look like a Jungle Cruise boat right behind it. Again, this isn't what you see because of probably safety factors and things like that. There's no, a child could get out of this, let's just put it, and end up in the water, is my take on this. It's not something that you're going to rush up to get. It's a scarcer one. Huck fin rafts. There's some negative stereotypes with, you know, some of the wording in Huck Finn and things like that too. So this isn't something that you may have been promoted back in the day as much as you would think too. So again, it does have a value. Most Disneyland cards these days, though, as I said, are fairly common. Here's another one. This is Holidayland at Disneyland. Holidayland was a temporary thing, if I remember right. You know, you can see a tent there in the whole works. They tried many different things. They've changed zones. Things have been closed down, remodeled, and all kinds of things like that. Not very common to see something marked as Holidayland for Disneyland. Hence why it sold for much. Not a great picture. If they marketed this one, did some zoom-ins, they could have got better. They could have listed at $57.50 as a bin, and they may have gotten that for it. Something like this, you may have been able to list for $75 and take it a bin of $57.50. Again, I don't really care what somebody else has bought. Most buyers don't honestly usually check on the prices. They get irritated. The search results, you got to sort all different ways these days. So in all honesty, the way Terapeak is now is more beneficial to us. May not be as easy to look for us, but that means it's harder to look for potential buyers to track down prices on things that they may want to buy to see if the price is fair. Many people say in their head before they won't even look it up, they'll know I want to pay this much and no more for it. And if it's in that range, they usually just buy it. You know, if I want something as a collector, I want it. I'm not going to worry about any of the other aspects of it. I'm not going to, you know, waste time thinking about other things. I'm going to just buy it if I see it right there in front of me and the price is within what I would normally think I would have to pay for it. Now, again, this is another odd one here. Let's just put it this way. The time that they would do a canoe has long since passed. This is the early 50s. Again, this is opening year era. So if you can see again, there's the back mark that you would expect to see. You don't see Indian canoes. So that's hence why this one is collectible. Again, this is another one of those that I would have put up for $57.50 bin BO and it just went from there. I would not be shocked at all if that's what it sold for. Because again, this is something you're not going to see. This ride is completely unsafe. It does look like there was a few small children in it. And one thing you'll notice right off the bat is not a single person has a life jacket. Just like the Huck Finn raft. No life jackets. Technically, in this type of thing, even if somebody could technically stand up in the water, which I don't see as possible where this was taken, the water would be over a child's head from my take. There's no life jacket. So again, this is another thing, unsafe Disney ride. You could list almost or attraction in the title to help push it. And another thing this person did is the vintage postcard. The most important part of the wording would be the Disneyland Indian Canoe Frontierland. That all needs to go to the top, you know, to the left of the title. You don't need to put these words usually in the title, especially the word postcard. Vintage, yes, you're okay to do depending on if that's the way you're going to market it. Disneyland alone, the Indian Canoe Disneyland would probably be what would sell this one. Postcard, the word I put at the end always. I'd never put the word postcard in the front if I can help it. So just FYI. Now, one last one here. Now, why did this one go well? Because it's something you just don't see very often. Schweitzer Falls Adventureland. It's an interesting shot. It's not something that everybody's going to go, hey, I want a boat going through a fall. Because almost all of what you would want the image for, you would think, is gone. You can't see it. It's literally being covered up by the water. So this is an interesting one. Again, most of these I would put up for $57.50 and just let them go and see what happens from there. It's just not practical to just try and do most of these as an auction. I honestly feel that every one of these as an auction, they're losing out because of that fact. They could have gotten more out of all these. Again, don't necessarily price by what everybody else prices them at. If only a handful have sold, you can almost assuredly price it a little higher safely because that shows that there's interest. The price is the only distracting factor, and if everybody else priced them low, it doesn't mean that it's not worth more than that. Everybody follows suit. Everybody looks at Terapeak or whatever the case may goes, hey, it sold for $30, I better put mine in that same price range. That's not the proper way to make prices or to price and decide on what something's worth. it's just not practical in my book. It just doesn't work that way in my book. Now we're back in Terapeak here for just a minute here. Now I've typed in just Disneyland and Postcard. Now we're going to do one more thing here because Postcard might not necessarily be in the title here. So what we're going to do, yeah, see, it's split up between two categories, which is the bad part here. If you really want to be careful and know that your prices are correct, now I'm not going to do that now, but this is what I usually do. I open up two Terapeak screens. One, I'll just look at the Disneyland section, and one I'll just look at the postcard section, but I'll remove the word postcard out of the title, out of my keyword search, because many people may not have used the word postcard in the title. So how many listings do I actually have? I can't quite tell. I've got several pages. So let's remove postcard. Again, we're in a postcard section. Lock selected filter, so we lock it so it doesn't change. And then we go here and we're going to search. So now what happens is we've got even more that have showed up in this search result because I took out the word postcard. So there's guaranteed to be some listings that don't show up if you put the word postcard in the title because folks may have not listed the word postcard in the title. So again, you'll see some. This doesn't have the word postcard in there. Art corner, as I said, some of the art corners are worth some big money, as you can see here. Lenticular art corners are worth even more. But just take a look through here. Do this exact same thing. So if you wanted to be correct on all your prices and you were judging them by what it said on here, you would have to do this twice. You would have to open up another screen, duplicate, and just do Disneyland only in the Disneyana section of collectibles and only the postcard section there. Because again, you will find even more that show up that don't have the word postcard. If I add the word postcard in here, that's a keyword. 9 out of 10 times it will only show the ones that have the word postcard in the title. So if you have ones that have the word postcard in the title, it may not show up every postcard in there because people may not have used the word postcard in the title because it's in the category already. So it depends. The search results you get here may not be the same search results you would get if you were just searching on eBay as well. Terapeak is kind of like a separate entity. eBay actually acquired it. They bought it. So how they've integrated it is different. This isn't like a normal search. This doesn't show search results based on like a buyer looking to find something on eBay. This is totally different, and it can have different, search result criteria that shows up. So I always look at it without the word postcard and with the word postcard. So right now we've got 5,331 that sold this way. Now let's type in the word postcard just so we can look at the numbers again. And if you look then, it drops it down to 4,600. So 700 cards don't show up if you keep the word postcard in there. So be careful when you look stuff up on any category. If you have a word included in the search results, you may need to remove it and just go to that specific category. And as I showed you with the Disneyland one, there was a Disneyland postcard section in Collectibles Disneyana. So you technically need to go to two different separate categories to look them up on two separate different searches to see every postcard to make sure that you're pricing correctly. Another reason why it's a little harder to price Disneyland postcards, because some people may assume it's only going to be in the postcard section. That is 100% not correct because probably nearly half of the postcards up could be in either or section. So you've got two categories you need to look at, like buttons. There are probably a half a dozen different categories that the same button could go into. It could go into antiques section as well as the collectibles section. Under antiques, there's a vintage sewing section that's buttons pre-1930. There's also a sewing section in collectibles that's post after 1930 that you could list buttons in. There's also a Civil War button section, other war section button sections. Again, there's many different places you could list things at. There's button section just for collectibles, transportation, and railroad. I'm just giving you buttons for example, but however you look it up, you've got to start off with the basics. Don't narrow yourself in to a specific category until you're sure you need to do that. Either because there's far too much quantity to look through, or the other categories are just junk and there's nothing in there that would be useful. So be careful. This is a major mistake I see many people make with stuff like this. If it's an automobile-related postcard, you may find it in transportation automobile stuff. If it's a tourist-related, like a truck stop or a tourist stop on, say, Route 66, someone may have listed it in, say, the travel section of collectibles under a specific state also. A lot of people assume that you have to list every postcard in the postcard section, but it is a travel, a tourist, a vacationing type of collectible, and I have seen people doing okay selling them in other categories because there's less people selling postcards in, say, the travel section of collectibles versus the postcard section of collectibles. So once again, don't share. Chrome cards are probably one of the areas that I see a lot of ground being made, and you should be able to do fairly well if you're careful. You buy them cheap, as they almost always are priced to begin with. But anyway, that's what I have for you. Well, there we are. Hopefully that helps out with at least this area here. Chromes are a highly gaining area depending on where it's from. It rotates too. You will see that one type of postcard is really hot one time, another one may be hot at another point a couple years later. Like with the Naples ones, there are a lot of people are moving to the area. A lot of people have moved away, more people have money, more people are retiring. So there's more interest in those cards now, just like California. California has a huge population, so the amount of people that collect is higher for certain areas in California, especially where there's high dollar money. Naples in Florida is a fairly ritz, kind of like West Palm or something, or a real high end of Miami, which you saw there are Miami cards that go as well. But anyway, that's it for it. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I do honestly and sincerely thank everybody for the kind support.